And joining us now is Democratic Congressman Greg Casar of Texas. His district in Austin would be merged with another in this new GOP plan for Texas if it gets approved. Congressman, the president says the GOP is entitled to 5 more seats in your state. You say the new map violates the Voting Rights Act. So explain which Texans are most at risk of losing the power of their vote.
When the Voting Rights Act was signed by LBJ, a Texas president, that law from 1965 was passed in order to ban maps like the one that Donald Trump is trying to push onto Texans. Here in my home city of Austin, they are trying to chop up certain parts of our city to be out in West Texas or out on the coast, an 8-hour drive. These maps are just nuts. But what is worst about it is that the way they are trying to give Trump more protection and more seats is by diluting the votes of working class communities and communities of color. And in my home city of Austin, if Donald Trump is able to suppress Latino voters here in Austin, pretty soon he'll take that ploy across America. Trump has already said that he wants to go and gerrymander Ohio and then Missouri. And we can't let that happen because voters should be able to hold Trump accountable for his corruption and crimes. Trump is trying to make sure that he rigs the midterm election before we ever get to cast a vote.
I spoke with one of the House Democrats from Texas who is out of state now, actually in New York, talking about how Republicans have done this in other states. It's not just Texas, and Texans are trying to stand up and push back. Redistricting does seem to be a tactic the GOP appears to have no problem using. Why not Democrats, at least up to this point?
Right now, under our current maps, Congress already has been gerrymandered 16 seats total towards the Republicans. So at the end of the day, we do need to get rid of gerrymandering nationwide, pass a federal bill like the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act to get rid of gerrymandering and get big money out of politics. But what Democrats can't continue to do is to allow right-wing extremists in states like Texas to silence our voices, while in blue states we don't fight back. That's why I'm so proud of governors like Gavin Newsom and Kathy Hochul and others who are saying it's time to fight fire with fire. If they're going to try to suppress voters here in our home state of Texas, then in blue states, we have to strongly be pushing for redistricting out some of the Trump extremists who are just going to keep on doing Trump's bidding rather than being real representatives of their community.
So, I mean, you just said kind of 2 things there. You said you got to get rid of gerrymandering altogether. And then you said we have to fight fire with fire. Can you have it both ways?
Absolutely. Every Democrat in Congress right now is on the record and has voted for or sponsors national legislation to get rid of gerrymandering nationwide. And I would vote for that tomorrow. And I'd challenge any of my Republican colleagues to vote for it. But Republicans have been the ones who have blocked that kind of independent redistricting across the nation. So let's be clear about who's doing the gerrymandering. It's the Republicans. The question before us is, should California continue to play by a certain set of rules while letting Greg Abbott suppress people's voting rights? I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think California should have an independent commission when Texas has one. I think New York should have a law that says New York will have an independent commission when Florida has one. We need to get to fair rules across the nation and not have Democrats showing up with a butter knife to a gunfight.
Or a pencil to a knife fight is what we heard from the DNC chairman. Will you run against fellow Democratic Congressman Lloyd Doggett if your districts are merged? Is that matchup now inevitable?
The merging of our districts is a violation of the Voting Rights Act, and it is just deeply illegal. I've said I'm running here in my home city of Austin. Congressman Doggett has said the same, but we are united in fighting back against these illegal maps. And I don't accept the premise that we're just going to take these maps and have to live with them. This is illegal. This is wrong. And I'm not thinking as much about what happens if these maps pass. Instead, I'm focused on what can we do to block these racist and gerrymandered maps, because Austin deserves its representation in Congress. It does not deserve Trump to come tell us what to do.
But just quickly, very quickly, if you will, what can you do? You don't have the power. You don't have the numbers there in Texas at the state level to prevent this from going through. We know people aren't there now, but isn't that just delaying the inevitable?
Our brave Texas Democrats have blocked something that people have said was inevitable and was going to happen. Well, guess what? Texas Democrats just bravely went out to travel across the country, successfully blocked the maps from going into effect this week. And the fight continues, because I do believe that if Governor Gavin Newsom says, you know what, I'm going to fight fire with fire and fight back from California, if we start seeing that same fight in Washington state and in Maryland, then Donald Trump might start second guessing whether or not moving forward in this way in Texas is right. And if we get the entire nation involved, calling for the redemption of the Voting Rights Act, saving the Voting Rights Act rather than shredding it, I think we have a real shot to block these maps.
Okay, I'm hearing you say that would require changing Republicans' minds, changing President Trump's mind, perhaps, in this case. Congressman Greg Casar, thanks for being with us. We appreciate your perspective, your insights.